Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG Review Show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is me, Monteban, and the team back for another episode of the TNG Review Show, where we will be consigning an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation to our vault. And this evening, I am joined by my co-hosts for this evening, Tired Time Lord. Good evening to you, sir. Tavians Turner. Good evening to you, Tavi. And Chief Sean. Good evening to you. Yeah. Rimmer salute already there.
Tavi was looking away. I nearly got away with that.
Yes. So
I don't think that the people playing bingo would appreciate you slipping in things while I'm not listening.
yeah, no.
Red, did he give his red dwarf?
That was a Red Dwarf reference right from the get go, right in there, right away. No messing. But the astute amongst you this evening will notice we have someone missing. But she is in live chat this evening. Mazima Bob is on her way back from London on the train. She's in a carriage somewhere, rocketing across England. So we wish you happy travels, and hopefully you can hear us. And yes, hopefully Maz will be chatting along in live chat this evening rather than being in the studio. I've lost Time Lord. He's gone. He's scalped. He's gone back in time. Maybe he's gone back to the beginning. It wasn't good enough. He's doing it again. Being a Time Lord. I've also noticed we've got a lot of yellow in the studio today. Lots of security.
Yeah, I'm giving all the lower decks love at the moment.
The lower decks
I'm sure
love.
most of you have seen the news. They look what they did to my boy. They massacred
Yeah.
it. They cancelled it. No proper finale.
Chopped down in its prime.
But if Prodigy does well on Netflix, there's every chance Netflix will buy it up. Give us an extra season or two.
So they're not going to do a finale on Lower Decks. They're going to enterprise it.
It's just gonna stop, yeah. And well, maybe they might come back for like a 3-episode kind of finish or something. I don't know, but at the moment it's just finish the season as it's written. No finale, just done.
Yeah, I'm very upset about this situation. The loss of Lower Decks.
You would think that they would have the skill now to write scripts and seasons in such a way that they could end without it being some sort of abrupt cutoff.
But I wouldn't mind. But Lower Decks only runs at about 10% the budget, if even that, of the live action stuff. So you don't even need that many people to tune in for it to be viable. But
It's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Even I was quite surprised of all of the, you know.
I mean, Discovery gets 8 million an episode.
I know.
It's up to 12 million for some of them. I mean, you know, like they make it $1 million an episode at most. It's usually 800 grand, you know, 600 grand, 800 grand. It's not that much. Really.
Yeah, I wish I knew the math on that, because I'm thinking there's no way it's not viable. Is it like
It's Tawny Newsome and it's Jack Quaid. Their contracts are getting much more expensive, and Paramount is currently contracting because they're about to be sold. So they're pulling in on anything that's not viable in the if they perceive the slightest weakness in it, you know. And right now, the amount of money they'll have to pay for Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid to be on the show is getting to the point where they don't want to do it. Somebody up in the money side said we don't want to pay that amount. And
yeah, but I mean, Tawny Newsome is showrunner. She's writing on Section 31 or something. I mean, they're going to pay for other stuff. And I mean, it's an animated show. They can record a whole season in 1 week. You know, it's not like they're making Discovery and it takes like 8 months to make 13 episodes. I mean, they just go into the booth 1 week, 4 hours a day, and then they're done for the rest of the year.
All they need to do is to do some voice recordings, and they can just recreate it. It's like, so, they don't even need them.
Yeah. You can do an AI voice now.
Do an AI, yeah.
Like, I mean, I absolutely understand
style.
if you need them on set for 6, 7, 8 months, you're going to have to pay for that. But I mean, you need them for a week. You know, how much do you really need to pay them? 100 grand?
Yeah. Yes. Good evening to everyone in live chat. Good evening, of course, to Mazim Bob, our co-host, who apparently is not rocketing across the country. She's stuck behind a slow-moving train, so she's currently running 15 minutes late. That's English network rail for you. That is. That's I bet it sums it up.
Thanks, Thatcher.
We certainly don't have Japanese bullet trains here, that's for sure. Good evening to the Wookiee! The Wookiee's in the building, yes. So he's definitely going to be on the wheel this evening, being our Wookiee black hole. Good evening to Ruth. The lovely Ruth is in the house. And good evening to Stu Plum. So we have all the quizzers lined up for the quiz this evening, so that's good.
Okay, Monty, so you mean to say that Margaret Thatcher selling off the rail network wasn't a good idea?
Wasn't a good idea. No, it definitely wasn't. I don't think...
Next thing you'll tell me that her policy on Northern Ireland was a positive success.
I wouldn't dare say, but I'm going to cut you off now before we go too far into politics, because nothing good could come from that, Sean. Trust me. Yeah, I've also seen the first few episodes, or possibly might have seen the first few episodes of Discovery now. Yeah.
Okay, so you know who Fred is?
I know who Fred is. Yeah, or was briefly.
They'll probably bring him back and turn him into a lore or something. I don't know. I feel we're going to see him again.
Yeah.
They have his body. They'll just zap it with nanoprobes. He'll be back.
It's not awful. It's just bad. Really.
It's do you know, I rewatched all of it, and I was like
Why?
watching
Why did
episode
you do
after
that?
episode
Why would you? Put
because I
yourself in
needed
that?
because it took 8 years to make 40 episodes, and I forgot what happened. And I mean, I was watching it while I
I'm
was working,
trying
so
to
I was only
forget.
half.
I'm doing that to myself on
Yeah.
purpose.
So I was only half watching it. Anyway, I got through and I went, you know, this isn't too bad. It's clunky in places, but it moves better than I remembered. And then I go back to watching it week by week, one episode by one episode. And then they're in the middle of a firefight talking about their feelings. And I'm like, oh, God, now I remember. This is the problem. Yeah. Stop talking about your feelings and get on with the scene. For the love of God.
You're really the best. You're the best commander. No, you're the best. No, you're the best.
They're all commanders now too. Did you notice that? You know, you time travel and suddenly you gain rank just from the you've been away for 1,000 years. We'll go ahead and throw them a rank. You're all commanders now, and
Well,
you've got 2 captains on the ship.
Well, you think about the motion picture. Kirk was an admiral. Decker was a captain. Scotty was a captain.
Yep.
Spock was a captain.
Fair point.
Uhura was a full commander. I think McCoy was a full commander. You know, am I forgetting anyone? But they were,
No.
fairly top heavy.
Yeah. So yes, right. Pictures. Let's get into the episode because we're here to talk about TNG, not Discovery or Strange New Worlds or any of these things.
Yeah, I'm glad Strange New Worlds is getting another season, but yeah, just as I said, 8 to 12 million an episode versus like 800,000. It's like you can get a whole season of Lower Decks for like an episode and a half of Strange New Worlds. I know which one I'd pick.
Excuse me. This episode is data heavy, so I do need all of you guys to shut up.
Shut up
Get on
with
with the show and start getting them D pics out. I need some D.
it. Brilliant. Yes.
Oh my.
Ruth says she hasn't made it through the first episode of Discovery yet. She's tried a number of times, but she can't make it. She can't make it to the end. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand the feeling.
I'm a completionist. I have to watch all Trek and I have to know it all, even if I don't particularly.
How about we watch
like
some
it.
data?
All right, sorry, we're getting on with it. This episode this evening is Thine Own Self. It is episode 16 of season 7, production number 40277-268. It first aired in the US on the 14th of February 1994 and was the 167th episode to be both produced and released in TNG. The original concept story was by Christopher Hatton. It was one of 2 sort of outlines that he submitted for TNG that were accepted, the other one being Gambit Part 1. The teleplay was worked up by Ronald D. Moore, his 27th of 29, and it was directed by Wendrick Kolb. Ricky Colby. It was his 15th of 16. One more left for him, which is, of course, All Good Things. He did mention that at this point he was getting like the reputation of being the Little Girl and Data episode director, because he'd done a number of episodes with Data and Little Girls, which was slightly unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I would you know, if someone starts thinking who will we get for this Little Girl episode, and then they think of your name,
It's not a good
I wouldn't
thing.
be.
No.
No.
With one of the last episodes he did being pen pals, and yeah.
There was the episode where he had a young man who just wanted to be like him.
Yeah, there's another one.
In the movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the name
It
of
was
the
in the Baku movie.
Insurrection. Yes, there was one in Insurrection. Yes, you're right. I don't
Hero
know.
Worship. That was the other episode.
Oh,
where the
Hero
kid-
Worship. Yes, that's another one. Don't know if you had anything
This
else.
is one of my this is one of my favorite Data episodes. You already know what my score at the end of it is going to be. There's no point in asking. But continue. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask Time Lord, being the Mazza McBob of the evening, whether he had any other thoughts on the production details.
So I did look at a couple of resources: Memory Alpha, IMDb, and Trek Core.
Did you learn anything interesting?
One of the things, Christopher Hadden, that you mentioned, the screenwriter, when he pitched the story, it was just, hey, I've got an idea, Data as Frankenstein. And that's how he said he wanders into a medieval village, is befriended by a little girl. The villagers come out and chase him with torches. That's the pitch.
Is it Data as Frankenstein or Data as Frankenstein's monster?
It's
True,
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
In whose world? In whose world's that, Sean?
And the original working title.
You never saw that film. Never mind.
Oh. The original working title was Jaden, which is the name we'll hear later.
Yes, Jaden. Okay, thank you. I thought, as it was a D-heavy episode, we'd start off with a picture of the D, but I've got a feeling that's the wrong D that Tabby was waiting for. The obvious question I'm going to ask, which model is it? Drum roll, it is the... Come on.
Oh, that's the older one, the 6 foot or the 10 foot, whatever it is.
That looks like the 4-footer, though. Isn't there a lot of detail in it?
It's the 6 foot, yes. There's no 3 windows at the front for 10 forward, and it's got the thin edge and the smooth hull. It's the 6 foot model. Yes. There we go. Okay, so the episode starts off with an unusual bridge officer's log. We don't usually get one of those. And it's from Dr. Crusher, reporting that they have rendezvoused with Troi Shuttle, who has just returned from a 3-day class reunion on Starbase 231. Yes, Mazza, no 10 forward. You spotted it. Upon arriving to the bridge, Troi checks in with Dr. Crusher, who is in charge of the Night Watch. Data would normally command, but the doc explains that he is on assignment. It turns out a probe of radioactive material in its casing has crashed on Barkhorn 4, which, as Troi knows, has a pre-industrial civilization on it, and Data has been sent to retrieve it. I like the way that Troi just automatically recalled, at the name Barkhorn 4. She's like, well, that has a pre-industrial civilization on it. Like you have an encyclopedic knowledge of all
This was
trillion planets in this galaxy. And, anyway, sorry.
this scene
I'm
felt
wondering-
like
it
it
does
was
make
just
you
an
wonder.
info dump of exposition.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder when they're planning out their route. Is there a we're going this way, everyone? Please be advised we're avoiding this planet and that planet because this one has monkeys, that one has dinosaurs, this one has pre-industrial age. It's like,
yeah.
please turn off all your lights so no one can see us.
This
from
one is
whatever
populated
technology they
with
might
the
have.
offspring of Harry Mudd. You don't want to go anywhere near there.
Oh yeah.
Well, we do know, sorry, spoilers, that they retrieved the Enterprise E saucer section from a planet with no intelligent life, in case intelligent life might evolve there. They have to get it out of there. So yeah, clearly they do take it very seriously.
Troi had a fun time at her reunion, seeing the different directions her old classmates' lives has taken. Troi questions what Beverly is doing on the bridge. It's not something she normally does. And while she's at it, why did she go to all the extra work to get the rank of commander? It turns out that... Sorry, was someone...
No, go on, sorry. Go on, go.
At first, Beverly brushes off the question, saying that she just likes to put in some bridge time now and again to keep her tactical knowledge fresh. But the truth is, she likes it. Commanding a starship, sitting in the big chair. Who wouldn't, you know? If you could. If you could, why wouldn't you, you know?
Well, the
I
big
mean,
chair is...
if you're on the Enterprise, of all the ships to try to get your bridge officer training for, just so you can sit in the flagship's chair
Yeah.
and nothing more, I would do it just for that.
Yeah.
Well, there you can actually, for the right price, it is that chair, the very one she is sitting in that shot, is coming up for sale, and guide price $50,000 to $100,000. And I honestly think that's too cheap because they sold the TOS chair before and it made like $500,000. So I sincerely think it'll be more like $250,000, $300,000 by the time they sell it. But if you have enough money and you want to sit in that chair, you can get it.
We all just have that lying around, you know, just in the background somewhere.
Back of the couch, yeah.
Finally!
Did you ever hear about that guy who
Sorry.
Did you ever hear about that guy who bought a pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin just like when they were making a TV show when it first came out? You know, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't be happy to be him now. The name of the planet in Alien/Aliens, I can't remember. LV426. That just came to me. Someone was giving me a general knowledge quiz today, and I got everything right except for one, which is what took me a while. I got it eventually, which is who wrote Alice in Wonderland. Could not think of it.
Smiler Rainbow wouldn't be happy if I spent $100,000 on a chair, would she? I don't.
You could sell your holiday home, and you'd have the car, or you'd have the chair.
That's true. That is true. It's holiday home or Picard's chair. Oh. That's a toughie. That's a toughie, right?
And just for the record, I looked it up and I was right. It was LV426.
Oh, what
Not bad for a film that came out before I was born.
Log in to see the winning bid. Because it's up at the moment. Oh, okay, all right, okay. I'll be checking that out later. Don't panic, everyone.
You have to have that marriage discussion on selling the holiday home.
Yeah, I've seen something that's come up for sale, and I've got to rethink my life choices.
How did I get here?
Anyway, so the chappie that's currently at Tactical behind Beverly lets Beverly know that her early attempts to let Data know that they are running late due to having to deliver some medical supplies have gone unanswered. Beverly isn't concerned, though, as Geordi has said that the radiation would interfere with communications. On Barcon 4, two Barconians, Garvin and his daughter Gia, are walking to school when they come across a strange man making a strange noise. Was that your impression of a Barconian?
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. Yeah. And there's a strange man.
Do you know what the main employment is in Barconia? Most of them are roofers.
Yeah.
Roofers.
Did anyone else think that Data sounded like he was a 56K modem here?
Yes.
This is actually where they got
speed.
that sound from. You know, you had to kill a robot to get onto the internet back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is the robot. This is the sound.
He's trying to connect to AOL. Yeah.
Oh my God, America Online. Oh my God.
I used to work for them.
We were conscious and capable of adult thinking when AOL Online and the internet started. And every time I think about that, I do feel old. And I'm like, shit, we were at a pinnacle of technology.
I used to work for them.
Capable of adult thought. Speak for yourself. When AOL came out, I was still a teenager.
Yeah, I work for AOL. I even did some troubleshooting on a dial-up AOL once or twice. It was mostly broadband, but I did some dial-up.
What was AOL doing in Ireland?
Well,
what-
well, AOL UK set up a call center in Ireland back in the day, and then we were bought out by TalkTalk, and that was not a good time. And eventually, they shut down our call center to move the jobs to India. So that was the
I
end of
just
that.
got the roof.
They didn't fix anything, but they were cheap.
He just got a job.
Barconian. They bark.
They bark.
Roofers, rough.
Yes.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Right over
that's a
my
delay.
head. Delayed reaction.
the humor delay. Very good.
I was just throwing in a dad joke for the bingo, but Tabby missed it entirely. She's just looking at that photo of Data and just smiling to herself.
He's scruffled hair and everything. I'll
See a
leave
bit
that
of his
now.
chest, kind of Kirk style.
I did forget to mention. It's the end of the teaser, so it's question time.
And boy, is that a teaser.
Ooh.
Okay. The D is due to rendezvous with the Lexington. What class of ship is that? A. Ambassador, B. Neo Constitution, C. Galaxy, or D. Nebula? And I will say, pick the odd one out on that one. And the bonus question, and I'm really glad you picked that screenshot. In what hand is Data holding the crate?
It's a good job I put as you say, selected that particular shot, isn't it? I could have left it on a slightly more awkward shot for your question there.
So this is usually when Massa would chime in with some trivia to give people time to get their questions in.
Go
so
for it.
Here I go. I got trivias. If I can get my Windows to cooperate with me. So, budget requirements necessitated a shipboard B story. Well, we don't want to hear about that just yet. Because let's see. The title was originally taken from William Shakespeare's play, Hamlet, This Above All, To Thine Own Self Be True, which Data quoted to Commander Riker in TNG's Hide and Q.
Yes, he did.
And let's see. Oh, the set for the Barcon 4 village was modified to reappear in TNG's Journey End, Firstborn, Preemptive Strike, and Deep Space Nine Shadow Play. So the village set is used multiple times.
Yeah, was it not the village from what's the flute episode?
I know what you. Inner Light.
Inner Light, yeah, I'm fairly sure it's the same one again. I'm even sure the little house they're in is the same one that Picard.
Oh
is.
yeah, and you can always tell because it's this white plaster that they've got in the middle of the the open area.
Yeah, they built it and they left it up for 2 seasons and they used it about 6 times. I guess it amortized the costs a bit. They could have painted it different colors or something.
Oh,
Well,
and this is the last appearance. That little teaser there was the last appearance of Counselor Troy's maroon jumpsuit, which first appeared in that horrible episode, The Child.
Yeah, she's full uniform from now on. Nice. Well, I suppose she goes full commander, so it makes sense. She has to show off her commander pips.
She does, yes, at the end. It's for some good jokes coming in. Well done, Mr. Tammykins. Very good. Yes. He went to a psychic the other day. When they knocked on the door, she yelled, "Who is it?" So he left. Very good.
My doctor told me I needed to get in touch with my inner self, so I bought thinner toilet paper.
It's pretty awful.
That you need to what? You need to what?
Oh, Sean.
My doctor told me I needed to get in touch with my inner self, so I bought thinner toilet paper.
I don't think we needed it twice. The imagery was enough.
Corn.
Okay.
I didn't eat any corn.
Shall we? Do you want to give us the answers to the questions then?
Yeah, it was D Nebula. I did say take the odd one out. What does the Ambassador, Neo Constitution, and Galaxy have in common?
They have a secondary hull.
they're all Enterprises.
Oh,
Ambassador is
that's true,
Enterprise
that's
C,
true.
Neo Constitution is Enterprise G, and Galaxy is Enterprise D. And it was his left hand. Brent is a lefty.
He is a lefty. I guess that. Stuplum says, Sean, that was a crappy joke.
but it's
Okay, so who's on the wheel then? Who had the lefts? Who were lefties? Who were southpaws?
We have-
Liz.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Tom.
Ruth, me, Stu Plum, Monty.
Basically,
trying to fill up my bingo quick.
everyone but Tired Time Lord, wasn't it?
I know, right? I had to go with the right. I was
Yeah.
thinking too. I was really trying to think about it because I just watched the episode earlier today.
Okay, just to show respect to me, you need to know everything about Brent Spiner. The actor, Brent Spiner, is left-handed. So naturally, he does everything in his left hand unless he's specifically instructed to do something with his right, which is not very often.
Yeah, sometimes
Well,
they give him right-handed instruments and he has to pretend to play them. That's about it. And sometimes they use a hand double and it's really obvious because it's right-handed.
I'm spinning the wheel. Do 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 do.
Oh,
It's a fix. It's an absolute fix. I don't know how that happened. That happened last week as well, I think, with the first spin. I think I got it as well. I apologise to everyone. And we'll get on with Act 1. So, Garvin sends his daughter home and asks Data who he is and what he wants. And of course, Data just copies everything the man says. Yeah. Who are you? What do you want?
Garvin.
You know. And he says, I am Garvin. And yes, he goes, I am Garvin. It's a really good bit of acting, I think, by Brent on that. It's he really does look deranged as he's saying it.
Yeah,
does.
knowing Brent's comedic leadings, I'm not surprised he really went with it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed his acting in that one. He's like, I am Garth. I'd be like, oh my dear.
But then Data starts to understand a little more and tells Garvin he doesn't know his own name, though communicating is becoming a little easier. Gaia, who didn't go off to school and just hid, finds the stranger quite humorous, and she isn't scared of him at all. Her father tells her to go off to school at once. Garvin comments that it looks like he has been in an accident, though Data doesn't remember being in one. He has walked from the mountains, which strikes Garvin as odd, as they're some 200 sultans away. I don't know what a sultan is, but
I was just going to say, Data looks like he's been in an accident. No, I've always looked that way.
Didum-tsh. Garvin asks him about the bag he's holding in his left hand and asks Data to hand it over, which Data does quite happily. Garvin is surprised by the weight of it, considering how Data was carrying it, and wonders what the meaning of the symbols are on its side. Data tells him it says radioactive. He is surprised as Garvin to find that he can actually read the symbols, though he has no idea of its meaning. Data guesses it must be his name. Mr. Radioactive Man.
So in the scene, I'm just curious, how does Data, like, you know, when they're on ship, they have the universal translator. Presumably, they're not speaking English. How does Data know how to say radioactive? Like, what does he say to them? Like, what does he just make up a word? Or does he say radio? You know, these are the logistics questions that go through my mind.
Well, like, I would assume that, much like the EMH, that Data has an inbuilt universal translator, and that it might also explain why he repeats the first couple of sentences, because it's not working at full capacity. Just while he's trying to
calibrating himself to be able to, as the guy's speaking to him, he's kind of calibrating linguistics or something in his head. Yeah.
And I think he might have said like radioactive and reading it from the universal translator instead of, because he would probably say that directly instead of saying it because they don't have a word for radioactive probably yet.
No.
I wonder how he would probably just say it. Could you imagine it being like a bad Google translator and the people are like, what what's a
Well, there is a kind of theoretical language called Unicode that they're trying to create, and ultimately it's like a unified computer-learned computer language. But the idea behind it is that if every language can be converted into Unicode, then we will have a proper universal translator, because right now when you go to Google Translate, get something from French, translate it into German, translate it into Spanish, translate it translated like 4 or 5 languages and then bring it back to the first language, and it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. So by kind of having this Unicode, it'll just convert to that and convert back, but it'll always be going by this kind of universal language. That's kind of what they're working on now.
Nerd.
Just want to say that Garvin looks inside the container and finds some interesting pieces of metal. There it is. It's now the end of Act 1, and we can have question time.
Yeah.
I need to try to finish the act off.
Looks like a bit of tinfoil wrapped around a bit of plaster, I would think. Or
it looks a bit of tinfoil wrapped around a Star Trek badge.
Yeah, or aluminum foil, as you guys might say. What unit of measurement was used for distance by the local? A. Rels, B. Kilograms, C. Kilodyne, or D. Celton? And the bonus question, this is the easiest question all day. What does it say on the box?
I wonder. Answering Wookie's question, has anybody seen the 3-body problem? I will be honest, we started watching it, but the opening scene of the first episode is kind of brutal a little bit, like with this guy up on stage being lynched, really, because he's a scientist, and they're kind of going through the burning of the books type scenario, and Smiler Rainbow just couldn't stick it. She was like, I don't want to watch this. So I was like, okay, I'll watch this then. She wasn't in the headspace to watch anything like that, so we switched it off.
Yeah, and Time Lord mentioned it in the chat there, but Fallout, fantastic. Just if you've played the games at all, I don't think even if you haven't played the games, you can still appreciate it. But if you have played the games, the fidelity, the attention to detail, how close they got it to the source material, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Tired? I think you're on mute.
Tired, we cannot hear you.
I was screaming at my TV when I watched Fallout. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that last episode, I was screaming, oh my God, at my screen. It's been a while since a TV show got me like that.
And that very last scene, like setting up the next series, just that little
last
shot.
Talking, I don't want to spoil it.
No.
Don't say.
But it is the classic Fallout thing where nobody is morally right, but it's just kind of who do you agree most with, kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
But all the humor is there, all the writing is there, it's all there, it's great.
No, I can't wait to watch that.
In the trivia that I found, it actually does mention that Director Colby observed it was an interesting, because I had done pen pals like we were talking about and didn't quite find the right direction. Data seems to have a predilection for little girls, not in a bad way. Here we wind up again with a little girl. There seems to be something about Data that gives writers the idea for the relationship. He has a vulnerability or an innocence, especially at the beginning. It's Brent at his best. I like the episode. This is Director Colby's words.
Yeah.
From Captain Logs, the unauthorized complete Trek voyages.
All right, yeah.
Monty and Time Lord. I don't have any trivia responses from y'all.
Oh, so I did type radio. Oh, hold on. It's there. I typed it. I just didn't get to it.
Oh,
The trivia, did you answer?
There.
the quiz. What unit? Oh, it's D. Sorry, I don't have to say it, but
No, you may as well. You're the last one, so.
radioactive. Yeah, D radioactive. There you go. Sorry about that.
Next time I'll sort the
That'll do
trivia.
us. Yeah.
Bitty
Rels
better.
were like Klingon seconds. Telechems were distance.
Klingon.
I think that's Klingon distances. Yeah. Kilodyne is like that's like a force that like the power to bend a metal bar made out of something, and Celton is the right answer. To whatever, a kilometer, a mile, who knows. And radioactive, as you all said, is correct. I'd say everyone's on the wheel for that one.
Everyone, including Time Lord. Right.
Tim Lord, yeah, that's him. Lord
Sounds
of the Flies.
about right, Tim Lord.
Tim Lord.
Lord of all the Tims.
Yeah.
Lord of the Tims, Lord of the Flies, Lord of the Dance.
Spinning the wheel. Do 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 do.
Oh! Yes!
I love it.
Although technically speaking, you all washed your face because nobody benefited or lost from that.
No, we were all on the wheel, so we all took the
Whether
L.
you all won or you all lost, it
we all
doesn't
took
really
the
make
L
a
there
difference.
with the Wookiee. The Wookiee wiped us out. It was a full house, Wookiee. You took it all away.
I'm gonna give that a trivia to stun. Oh my god, the pain.
Should there be a counterpoint to the Wookiee, like everybody who's on the wheel wins?
Well,
I
thought
usually
that-
am that, but that's
no,
usually
no,
when we have when he's not there. I don't know.
We could put Sean on there, can we?
So if everybody wins if you get a Sean, and everybody loses
Yeah.
if you get a Wookiee. So.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to give people opportunities here? I like the pain.
The
Sometimes
pain.
things just hurt.
But if everybody on the wheel wins and you're not on the wheel, then you've lost. So there is pain still.
Not enough. Not like with
Okay.
Wookiee's black hole.
Fair enough.
Okay,
If people don't want to feel that pain, they're encouraged to acknowledge this with dad jokes, because that's all you can do when you're in pain is laugh. So
because you need your pain. You want your pain.
Smiler's asking, am I in the lead? I hope not, because it's highly poisonous. Lead. You'll have to ask Tabby. She'll have to tabulate you there.
Okay.
no.
Act 2. We're back on the Enterprise. And Riker is playing the trombone in his quarters. Troi enters and has a conversation with Riker, with him answering using his trombone. She tells him this is a much better way for him to communicate. He's making much more sense. Riker's like, what do you want? Except for the Riker bashing. Troi wants to take the bridge officer's test and become a full commander. Can
Can you just go back one shot a second? Oh yeah, you can see the camera in that. Okay, all good.
this guy here.
Oh, I see that big black thing must be the camera.
Yeah, she wants to take the bridge officer's test. It turns out that in her class reunion, she met some of her old classmates that may or may not have already done it. She also enjoyed being in command during the quantum filament incident a couple of years ago. That was when she was stuck on the bridge with Ro and
Chief and Ro, yeah.
Chief. Yeah.
And she mentions it as being a disaster. And of course, the episode was called Disaster. And that's probably the only time I can think of that someone ever referenced an episode by name. Near enough, anyway.
the thing.
They said
Yeah,
the thing.
Inter Arnhem Silent Ledges is probably another one. It's not many.
Like in First Contact, where he sits there and goes, "You're on some kind of Star Trek."
Or Trek.
Yeah. Yeah. Or in well, yeah, it's not the actual name of it, but in Star Trek 5, they lean on a steering wheel thing on that wreck deck, and it says, to boldly go on it. Okay, so Riker tells her that she has his full support, though as first officer, he will be the one evaluating her, and he's a pretty tough judge. Troi tells him, well, she's a pretty tough student. So they're going to start at 800 hours in the morning. Back on the planets, the local scientist, Talur, is evaluating data. She tests his non-existent breath, his odd regular heartbeat. If she pricks him, does he not bleak? He doesn't have indigestion because he hasn't eaten anything, so she thinks, he must have malnutrition. That's what's wrong with this one. She recommends meats, butters, and cheeses for a start. They point out what about his complexion, but she says, if it was her grandmother, she would have called him a demon, but she uses scientific reality. He is a nice man, and his skin and eye condition are a reflection of living in tough ice conditions in the mountains. She tells him to get a good night's rest, and she'll be back tomorrow to see how he is doing. What have we seen her in? Anybody? Have you seen her in anything else? From your childhood? Probably just me, because I'm really old.
I'm looking it up.
She
'cause I'm sure
she
IMDb
played
will
almost
have it.
exactly the same character in The Waltons. Did nobody ever watch The
Can't
Waltons?
say I ever watched it, and I've heard of it.
It's just me because I'm really old. But yeah, she was like a busybody in The Waltons who kind of meant well, but she felt she was like just above everyone and sort of.
Bonnie Claire Edwards, 1933 to 2016. She died.
Yeah.
She was in a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, the Walton. A lot of Walton stuff.
A lot of Walton stuff.
A Walton Thanksgiving.
Yeah. The Walton Easter.
Born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I love that because it's quite near Kansas City,
The
which
bitchy
is of course
shopkeeper.
in Missouri,
Yes.
not Kansas, because that makes sense.
She thought she was like high class and looked down on everyone, and just thought the Waltons were just like the worst. But she wasn't bad really, but she was just a really annoying, irritating woman. That's just what she was.
She was an early Karen before it was named
She
Karen.
was, yeah, and she kind of is a bit like this in this episode as well, a little bit. So, Gaia arrives home from school and asks after their new guest, and Data tells her he is fine. He is a nice man. As he has no name, then they don't want to call him Mr. Radioactive. Gaia decides to call him Jaden and goes to get him some of her dad's clothes to wear so he fits in a little better. They take the metal to Skoran, the local blacksmith, who hasn't seen anything like them before. He wishes to purchase the metal. Data doesn't want to sell all of it because it might prove to be a clue to unlocking his memory. So they agree on 20 Dorax for half the lot. One of Skoran's workers has an accident with an anvil that falls on the man's leg. The villagers cannot lift it off. As Skoran rushes to get some sort of lever, Data picks it up with ease. Data points out that the support structure had rotten away and given way. But then he notices that everyone is murmuring and looking at him and asks Garvin if he's done something wrong. Garvin tells him no, he's not done anything wrong. It was just unexpected.
Can we please take a moment to appreciate the 3/4 gorgeousness that is face right now, and that lovely bronzed gold shimmer on top of that alabaster, and that hair not so tightly slicked back, and that lovely time period looking clothing. Picking up that big heavy thing, you go get that, man. You go get
I was
that.
just going to say, I don't think the laws of physics would allow you to lift an anvil like that. I mean, he only weighs about 90 kg, The anvil probably weighs about 200 kg. I mean, he just topples straight over.
Well, what
Just-
if he has a hydraulic system? Do you think it would matter?
I mean, I don't think it's hydraulics, but I would think he has some sort of soon.
No, it is
muscle.
hydraulics.
Is
The
it?
Yeah, his system is hydraulics.
I didn't know that. You learn
don't.
something new. That's
yeah, he
why
has
I'm-
They actually mentioned it in this episode. He has a pulse because just the way he has like coolant moving around.
You can't question Tavi about Data's inner workings. You're on a road to nowhere on that one, really.
Or his outer workings.
knowledge of data.
She went into a scientific explanation of how she worked out how big his dong was. So, you know.
They gave it away.
What?
They hinted at it and just gave it to us. It was the most delicious
you say
thing
it
ever.
giving it away, but I see it as highly speculative.
I don't think.
Well,
I think they were
ba-
hinting at it at the best way they could possible without saying anything, because Freud is known for him constantly associating psychological issues with sexuality. And in this one, they specifically, like Data specifically gave the dimension of a knife that was involved in what Freud considered a sexual act. And he said it was about 25 centimeters. That's how big the knife was that I was going after her with. So, you know,
Now
he's packing a 10-incher.
we're talking like a foot long here. You know, like think a Subway sandwich. That's
No,
pretty
no,
much
not
what
that
we're
big.
working with.
That's ridiculous. Just 10 inches. Just 10
Okay,
inches.
but is it quality or quantity? Because Worf, you know, if we're to go off Discovery, Worf's got 2.
I'm just gonna let you know. I'm very sure that Mr. Sung made sure that it was length and girth included, and he has a hydraulic system, and I do believe it's adjustable. So he's fully functional.
Anyway, right. I'm glad we went down that rabbit hole. Over dinner, Tillua tells them it's all very natural. Jaden's strength is something he shares with all Icemen from the Valorian Mountains, as they have developed it naturally to fight off the ferocious creatures that live there. It's all very explainable. Daya wonders how she knows all this, because no one from the village has ever been to the mountains, and Tillua tells him it's a well-known fact. Garvin finds that he doesn't feel well, so Tillua tells him to go take a walk to lower his temperature. I wonder what could possibly be wrong with him. Gaia finds that Jaden hasn't eaten. He doesn't seem to ever get an appetite. She tells him now the food isn't as good as it used to be when her mum made it before she died. She says that her dad told her that she went to a beautiful place where everyone is happy and no one gets sick. She asks him if he believes that there is a place like that, and Data, looking up into the stars, tells her that yes, he believes that somewhere out there is a place like that.
Somewhere over the river.
See, I also pictured a song at this point, but it was a different one. It was
Was it Fievel?
yeah, it was the Under the Moon.
Yeah.
That I was thinking of Community when Troi and Abed are singing it. But it's the same song. They took it from Fievel. And I was oh my god.
Out there. Do you guys know that song? Is it popular in the UK? The Fievel song? Okay.
I know that song. And I know Community because Smiler Rainbow watches it all the time. Yeah.
Love Community.
It's one of our go-to things to put on in the background. Of course, he's thinking in his brain, in his broken brain, he's thinking of the Enterprises out there somewhere, where, of course, everybody lives in harmony and nobody ever gets sick. Which is why I think he's looking out to the stars. But what did I notice about this shot? Did anybody notice anything particular about it?
It's the moon, but it's rotated 90 degrees.
It's the moon. Yeah.
That was my trivia point I was going to bring up.
Did I ruin it?
Well, if you rotated it 180 degrees, it would look normal to the southern hemisphere people. So I suppose 90 degrees.
Right.
No, truthfully, the moon is upside
Yeah,
down
it's
if you look
upside
at it from
down. That's
Australia,
because they're upside down. Yeah.
relative to the way we're used to looking at it.
That's true. That is true. Can anybody name the 3 C's or mares that we see here? Anybody?
The 3 C's of what?
On the moon. We
The Sea of Tranquility, Lake Armstrong, probably not what you're looking for. No, I don't know the Sea of Tranquility.
Okay, so this where's my cursor? This one in the middle here. This is the Sea of Tranquility, where Apollo 11 landed. This one over here is the Sea of Crisis. And this one up here is the Sea of Fertility.
Sea of Crisis, famously difficult to run on some older PC hardware.
Can't quite see it, but there's the Sea of Serenity down here, just into the darkness. But anyway, there we go.
It occurs. I know more about Star Trek, astronomical stuff than I do real world astronomical. Like I know where Vulcan is in the Federation, but I don't know anything about our real moon.
No, there you go. There you go. Anyway, that was the end of Act 2, and it's question time.
Actually, Dr. Trek of the unofficial guide you were quoting earlier was talking about this just yesterday. About when he put a map into one of the official books he did, and there was an argument because there was like 2 or 3 different official maps, and he basically had to pick which one to go with. And that's what we have as canon now. So, and there was benefits and pros and cons to all of them, but he eventually had to decide where Vulcan was based on some fan maps. So the first one, what is the name of the what is the name of the currency on this planet? A, credits, B, latinum, C, Dorax, or D, Isix? And what type of creature did the Doctor state Data was?
Just talking about that whole Star Trek astronomy over real astronomy. I actually did see in a comment section. There's there's a NASA satellite that's no, it's not a satellite. I don't think it might be a ground-based thing where they're mapping the motion of stars in real high fidelity, so that they can produce a 3D model of our galaxy. And know exactly the direction that every star is heading. It's quite amazing what they're doing. And I saw a top-down map of the first section of it that they've mapped out, and it's shown that Wolf 359 is not that far away from Sol.
Oh
and
yeah, it's like right outside.
It's like the 3rd or 4th nearest star. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone in the comments oh my god, were the people that made this Star Trek fans? Because look, it's got Wolf 359.
Yeah.
That was it. Oh. Just made me laugh.
So, trivia-wise, now I can read this one since we know about Troy's plot point. Budget requirements necessitated a shipboard B story to fill out the show. Moore decided to avoid a predictable "we've lost Data and we gotta find him" plot in favor of the story of Troy's work, which was originally conceived for the episode Liaisons, but moved to this one. This again from the Captain's Log, the unauthorized complete Trek voyages.
It's quite good. I quite like it. I think it works quite well as a sort of B story. It's good to see Troi want to work hard to get her bridge officers accreditation or whatever. It's it's pretty good.
I did, but I thought it was kind of weird that she was suddenly wanting to do it because everyone at school was doing better than her at the reunion. I'm like, bitch, you are the psychologist on the Starfleet's flagship, flying to different planets. What the frick could anybody else be doing that is way cooler? Honestly, I would go to that reunion and just sit down because everybody knows who the fuck I am. Be like, shit, man, she is on the starship. She sees the these new planets, these new alien psychologies. She's on the.
She's sitting at the negotiation tables at all these summit meetings and all these first contacts. I mean, she's there on the bridge when all the stuff is happening.
So,
She's got a close ear of the captains too. Like Picard listens to her. He doesn't just disregard her. She's got the ear of one of the most influential people in Starfleet.
yeah.
I mean, not only
He,
that,
listens,
like,
he listens to her more than he listens to Worf.
but you could be you could be the captain of the Oberth and just moving cargo around from ship to ship or from planet to planet, colony to colony, and nothing ever interesting happens. Yeah, you're a captain, but yeah, so.
I don't think that was the real reason. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it was just the fact that she walked on and found Beverly sat in the captain's chair, and she realised she couldn't do that. And it's a pure thing between, you know, her and Beverly are the two sort of like top women on the ship, and Beverly can sit in the captain's chair and she can't. It's as simple as that.
I mean, honestly, that was the best thing. Like, why do you get to sit there, bitch? I want to sit there
I
too.
know. As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, she wants that now.
Keep the fuck up.
That was the entire reason, I reckon.
I think that would have been a better reason, and it would create more friendly banter. Like, yeah, what you doing? Keep up.
Yeah. Snooze, you lose.
That's how I would be with my coworkers. Be like, since when you got an office? What you got an office too?
You know, that is a good question. Does Deanna have an office somewhere on the ship? Like, does she have
does.
her own
Yeah.
office?
Yeah.
It's pink. Yeah. It's got the sofas in it, hasn't it? It's like,
I'm sure it's been in an episode. It went over my head that was her office, you know?
Yeah, she has a therapy room kind of thing.
yeah. With some couches and a little desk. Okay. Answers to the questions? Oh, Maz's train's 26 minutes late now. Oh dear, it's not going well. The Enterprise would be totally safe in our hands now. Yeah, right, Wookie. Yeah, that's...
Okay. So the question, it was C, Dorax. Yeah, the other ones are mentioned in Star Trek. And the type of creature was an Iceman.
God,
Okay.
I watched this episode earlier. It must not have... I am missing all these questions.
I even said it. I said it as well.
I know.
I highlighted it because I figured it might be important.
I'm busy
I
doing all
thought-
this
I
other
thought that
stuff. So I just guessed, and I guessed not C, so that was even crazier.
Sorry, you guessed, and you guessed not C. That's just madness, Tavi. You
My
define
default
your
is
own
C.
rules
I'm distracted right now. I'm distracted by the data.
by the D. Yeah.
Yeah, credits are Federation, Latinum is Ferengi, Dorax is this planet, and Isix is... They're sometimes traded around the Federation.
Did everybody get
even in-
Iceman? Iceman.
Burnham at one stage
Iceman.
says Isix for your thoughts in Discovery, so... They're still around in
Iceman.
the Discovery era.
I think everybody got Iceman, didn't they? Spinning the
The
wheel.
Iceman cometh.
The Iceman cometh. Who's it gonna be?
Oh, Stu.
It's Stupin. Well done, Stupin. You get some of those delicious extra TNG points. Congratulations.
How many?
Stewie.
I've got dad jokes from the Beard, from Mazza, a layup dad joke from Stu Plum, and of course Sean's are on there.
I haven't gotten on the dad joke just yet. I need to.
No, actually, I'll leave it there for Tavi to read out later. It's all good.
What?
I
X-Ray.
put another one in the chat.
Back on board the Enterprise, there's a crisis. It's red alert time. It's not question time. It's a crisis. They are losing containment on the antimatter storage pods. Deanna is making decisions fast, though none of her options are currently working. She wants to eject the antimatter pods, but that fails, and the warp core blows up. But of course, this wasn't real. It was a simulation, a part of her commander exam training. Riker tells her that she's done very well in all the other tests, and the engineering test is the hardest one of all. Troi wants to know what she was doing wrong, but Riker can't tell her that. she will have to retake it. But next time, it will be even harder, so she will have to study more. She is left feeling very frustrated. Because on one hand, he won't tell her what's wrong. On the other hand, she's supposed to study, correct herself, and take it again. I can imagine that being very frustrating. Back on Barcon 4, Tellura is teaching the children about basic elements. The basic elements of nature. Quarks, leptons, and bosons. Oh no, sorry. Scratch that. I mean rocks, fire, sky, and water. She goes on to explain how those elements are always there. Take wood, for example. It contains rock because it is heavy. It can be heated and release the fire inside. The smoke is like the sky. And there's water in there somewhere, but it's difficult to get out. It all makes a lot of sense. Jaden clears his throat and tells her that she is incorrect. Telling her she's classifying things by analogy rather than empirical evidence. For example, the wood doesn't contain fire just because it's combustible. So he knows what the word combustible is and what it means, but he doesn't know what radioactive means. It's got a very specific dictionary in his head. She tells the class that Jaden here has lost his memory, so don't listen to anything he has to say, and she dismisses the class. After they go, Gear spots Jaden, looks troubled, and he tells her that despite what Teller says, he knows he is correct. But then a kerfuffle breaks out. Garvin is arguing with Skoran, who is trying to convince Garvin that he only promised 15 for the metal, with Garvin saying that they had agreed 20. Jaden comes over and agrees with Garvin it was 20, but then Garvin is taken ill, so they have to take him home. Back at home, Tellura is tending Garvin, and she finds his hair is starting to come out, and lesions are appearing on his body. She thinks his fluids are overheating, so she prescribes him some herbs to bring his fluidic temperature down. Jaden launches his own investigation and has Gia accompany him to the village to capture some supplies. On returning home, Skoran and a group of others tell him he needs to go back to where he came from. His sickness is now spreading through the village. And that is the end of Act 3. And the next question time.
Which of these did Riker not tell Deanna she passed? A. Diplomatic law. B. First contact procedure. C. Bridge ops. D. Kobayashi Maru. And bonus question. The teacher in the class says the elements are sky, fire, rock, and what?
Okay, so trivia time. What do I have for this one? I know I had this, and as soon as it gets there, my mind blanks. Let me pull up my notepad. Troi asked Riker.
That's why I've got to write everything down, Time Lord, because my memory is just terrible.
So
Sorry, what is terrible?
Yeah, I've forgotten.
I can't read this trivia thing because it would give away the question. No, I realized I can't. If I read it, I'm glad you guys were talking, because if I had started to read it, I'd have given away the question.
You can read it in a mo.
Next time I do this, if I should fill in for Maz again, I'll have to organize the trivia by act, because right now I've just got it all in a notepad.
Does anybody recognize this guy?
I recognize him, but I don't know what else he's been in. I know I've seen him in other stuff.
Yeah.
Joey has to teach him how to dance in Friends one time.
Oh, he's in Friends. Is he like the caretaker or something? Is he like the
Yeah,
buildings
yeah,
maintenance
and Joey needs
guy?
a favor, and he has to go on dancing lessons with him for something to happen. I forget.
Yeah, that's it. Friends. That's where I know him from. Thank you, Sean. It was
I'm sure he's
bothering
been
me.
in lots of things.
You know, this is the episode that taught me about radiation to begin with, and when I was a kid. Then Fallout came along, and now it's ironically timed that Fallout and this are out. We're reviewing this at the same time that came out. I'm just thinking of nuclear radiation. Sorry,
No,
I'm on a rant.
I mean, I made a little joke there, saying that that teaching them about the fundamental elements, and saying that it was quarks, leptons, and bosons, but I think it's funny because when I was at school, we were taught the fundamental particles were, atoms that were made up of, nuclei of protons and electrons, and that was the smallest things. And now, of course, we know that the nuclei of atoms are made up of quarks and leptons and things like that. It's just weird how science can move on like that and make things obsolete.
I feel like now it doesn't specify what type of metal that he's gotten there. Clearly, it's radioactive. That's the whole gist. But we don't know what exactly they're being exposed to. But radiation poisoning, it's extremely unpleasant. So they really kind of smoothed over some of the harsher things that happen with it in this episode.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific knowing that even that asshole there is standing there with a big chunk of I don't know what is the equivalent of uranium or something hanging around his neck.
Even within uranium, there's different strengths of it. So I would say as well. There was a situation where they were making these glow in the dark watches, and they used to paint them by hand.
Oh yeah,
and the women painting them used to lick the brush, and then after a couple of months their jaws started falling off, and then they realized there was a problem. But it took a while for them to actually cop what was going on.
There is a Japanese man named Hisashi Ochi, and he was in the worst radiation poisoning event for a person. His name was it was at the Tokamura nuclear plant. Him and 3 others got exposed in one of those blue waves. You see blue, that's it. Something has gone horribly wrong. You've got a couple hours. He survived though for 12 weeks after the incident, and they were just keeping him alive. I'm not going to get into the graphic nature of it. Sorry, going off on a rant again. But yeah, radiation poisoning is no joke. It's glossed over very much in this, and they have the Deus Ex Machina of him coming in with 24th century tech later on, figuring out how to cure. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I mean they used to think radiation when it was the new thing, when it was sort of discovered, they thought it was it had positive health benefits, and they'd put radiation in everything. People would drink they'd have radiation cream and radiation water and stuff, and yeah.
I can imagine possibly. I mean, small doses of radiation are used for things like say you had cancer and stuff. Maybe you could cure warts with it or something. I don't know. It's possible you may be able to use it in small doses and experience some positive benefits in the short term, even if long term it's a horrific idea.
I don't know about that.
They treat some cancers with these small doses of radiation, so I can see them putting it in creams, and people are like, "Oh my God, they wouldn't have known it was probably a melanoma," but they're like, "Wow, some of my sunspots are gone," not realizing that the small doses of radiation in that cream.
Yeah, but if it kills off the weaker cells, maybe it makes you look younger if it kills off the older ones. But of course, you're giving yourself radiation poisoning, so yeah, it might have a positive benefit for a couple of weeks, and then a really non-benefit. But who knows?
Did I answer the question? It was the Kobayashi D, and what was the other question? The teacher in the class says elements of sky, fire, rock, air, sky. Sky, yeah, fire. Oh, you got sky, fire, rock, water. Water.
Just think Avatar. You'll be there. You'll get there.
The way of. There we go. Okay. So I think we've got all the answers in now.
All right, I'll give you the answer. So
I'm sorry.
yeah. So it was where were we? It was Kobayashi Maru. Doesn't mention it, but technically the test she's doing is kind of a Kobayashi Maru, and yeah, it was water.
Yeah.
Earth, fire, air, and water, pretty much.
Stuplum got lots and lots and lots of radiation because he used to work in non-destructive testing on nuclear submarines, X-raying, like pipe work around the the reactor cores and things. And
What could possibly go wrong?
he said he doesn't glow in the dark apparently, so that's good. That's good.
Well, now my joke makes less sense since I know that he actually did work in that stuff. So.
He did.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Whoop.
Yes. He used to measure him on a daily basis, and he was like 200 times over the sort of safety limit of what I should normally have. And it's not so good. Okay, so who's on the wheel? Everyone? Is everyone on the wheel again? Did anybody not get water? Water. How's everyone? I'm spinning the wheel. Who is gonna win the wheel? Is it gonna be Maz or Ruth?
Ruth.
It is Ruth. Congratulations, Ruth. Lots of lovely TNG points coming your way. Okay, on to Act 4. So, Tellura enters Garvin's house and finds Jaden has put together a lab and is studying skin cells from Gaia and Garvin. Gaia's come down with the same sickness as well now, and Jaden has also refined Tellura's ocular device to increase the magnification. Jaden points out that the cellular damage is quite extensive, and based on the interstitial transparency of the membrane integrity, he has ruled out it being any infections or diseases. Looking up what can cause it, it must be something that is recent and unusual. Tiller tells him that the only recent and unusual thing around here is Jaden himself. But Jaden has thought about that and points out that she herself has had the most exposure to him and she hasn't come down with anything, so he has ruled himself out as the cause. Gaia comes down and Jaden notices that she's wearing a pendant that she got from Scran. It's made of the radioactive metal. Back on the Enterprise, Troi is studying. The triple bypass vent is routed through the transinducer matrix. The transinducer matrix is connected to the warp drive. The warp drive's connected to the nacelles, and that makes the Enterprise go forward. Riker enters and she initially thinks that he's there to give her some words of encouragement, but he tells her he is cancelling the test. She's taking it 3 times and is no closer to passing. Deanna protests, but Riker tells her that it's not personal. She's just not cut out for it. She wonders if it's maybe a no-win scenario, Kobayashi Maru style, but Riker tells her that no, there is a solution. But no more tests. His first duty must be to the ship. Riker leaves, and Troi, being annoyed, bangs her fists on the table. Though with Riker's last words ringing in her ears, his first duty is to the ship, she realizes that she missed something about the problem. She heads to the holodeck and runs the test exam program again. This time she orders Geordi to repair the ODN conduit, even though, as Worf points out, he would be fried with warp plasma. Despite this, Geordi, being the heroic little guy he is, agrees to do it. Riker, who was somehow already hiding somewhere in the holodeck, somehow knowing that she would be heading straight there to do it, he congratulates her for passing the test. Troi now thinks that maybe she wasn't cut out for this after all, after she had been hesitating to pull the trigger. But Riker thinks she's shown determination, so they head off to celebrate her promotion. Back on the planet, Jaden has coated a cloth in liquid from lamps. He then places Gaia's pendant behind it, and it causes the cloth to radiate, thus proving the metal to be a power source of some description. He points out that there appears to be particles emanating from it. He proves this by blocking it with the case. It appears the container is made out of a material that can block the particles, and the label radiation is maybe some kind of warning as to what's inside. Jaden asks Tallur to come and go and collect all the bits of metal from around the village and put them back in the container, whilst he himself looks for a cure. Tallur's not really happy about all this, but agrees as long as he exposes all his data to her. Tavi wouldn't mind him exposing all his data.
I can see her being appreciative of that.
Skoran comes a knocking.
I would have figured out what he was, because I would have done a thorough investigation of him. She missed an opportunity there.
Well, if he's a nice man, you doubtless need to warm him up.
Yeah, somehow.
Good night, Mr. Beard. Good night, sir. I hope you sleep well. Skoran comes a knocking and blames Data for everything that's happened. He lunges at Data, but he's no match for the android. However, his mate whacks Data with a pickaxe, damaging his face. The sight of it sends the men running. And Act 4, we're left with a shot of Data with a beaten up face.
That's that Terminator look he was going for.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
He's even hotter than he looks like he could go from 0 to death bot, with that thing going on, which is hot somehow. So
it is to you. That's the important thing.
Yes.
That's the end of Act 4. So it's question time. What have you got for us, Sean?
I have a few questiones here. So, Deanna said she may not know the difference between a plasma conduit and a tachyon emitter, B, self-sealing stem boat, C, chronoton generator, D, phase inducer. Which one of those did she say? And the bonus question, Deanna says her first duty is to the ship, but in the first duty, what did Picard say the first duty was to, and it wasn't the ship?
Okay, so while we're
very famous speech he gives. Sorry, tired.
No, you're fine. While we're I don't have trivia for now, but I do have some comments on the scene where Riker comes in. First of all, while I was watching earlier, I made note of this. If you watch when he says the line, my first duty is to the ship, his eyes, he goes from squinting his eyes to like getting really big. Like he goes, my first duty is to the he's telling Deanna, my first duty, he's doing the blinkies, is to the ship. The other thing is when she sends Geordi away, does like I fully expected him to do like the look over his shoulder, like, are you sure you want to send me the droopy dog, the last look over the shoulder? Don't send me away, Deanna. You know? Sorry, those are my notes, my rambling for the moment.
Sorry, I answered the question with the wrong chat. I answered as the Vault rather than Montalban. So that's me. Anyway.
I'm sure it can be forgiven.
No, I'd like to talk to the Vault's manager over this.
Yeah. That's me.
But yeah, I think that entire scene, there's a lot going on there to unpack. And, sending Geordi away. Like, everyone's like, are you sure, Deanna? Is that what you want to do? And that's clearly the answer she has to do. And she's like, get in the tunnel, Geordi. No one cares about it.
She kicks him in as she, pushes him in there. I imagine as well, as they're heading off to celebrate, because, like, she's just done it. And Riker's like, she's like, I'm not sure because, I had spent all this time. He's like, don't be silly. You're going to make a great commander. Come on, let me buy you a drink. And as they go walking off through engineering, you can just hear Geordi screams in the background, as he's being fried alive in the warp core.
That would be an awkward conversation too. Geordi comes out later to congratulate her. Hey, congratulations! How'd you do on the test? And she's like, well, about the test, I had to send somebody to their death, and it just happened to be you. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I've made Lee Thompson in the holodeck, so we're all good. Whatever happens on the holodeck stays in the holodeck.
Yeah. Geordi understands that premise better than anyone else, to be fair.
You can imagine, like, after taking tests like that, be like, who did you have to kill for yours? Oh, I had to kill this guy.
Yeah.
They put my grandmother in there. I had to put my grandmother in the electric.
And then you hear someone like whatchamacallit be like, some dude named Tuvix. I passed immediately.
Oh my god.
But think about this, right? All the people on that ship that want to apply for the bridge officer's test to become a member of the bridge crew, they all have to send Geordi to his death.
Just Geordi. Throughout the fleet, Geordi. They're all sending Geordi.
All the bridge officers on this ship have all sent Geordi to his death.
That's if it's the same exam. It probably changes.
Wait, what if that's like Riker's pissed at Geordi over something small that happened years ago? So he just keeps putting Geordi in as the guy everyone has to kill.
Yeah. That's funny.
He won at poker one night.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he won once. He's never forgiven him for it. Brilliant. Okay, do we have everybody's answers?
Do we? Looks like everyone's in. Okay, yeah, so it was a D phase inducer. Suspiciously, almost everyone seems to got that right. Covered in D.
It just sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I thought I'd catch a few people. I thought that was fairly out there. And yeah, the first duty is to the truth. Whether that's scientific truth or personal truth. Yeah, the first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, according to Picard. Up until this episode when they decide it's to the ship.
That's the episode also where people have connected Mariner from Lower Decks because there's a character just hanging out in the background that people are like, oh, that's Mariner, that's got to be her.
Yep, pretty much.
It's just like us, really. Our first duty is to the Ruth.
Yeah.
Very
I'll
good.
Give myself a tumbleweed. There you go. Okay, so it's just Tavikins and Time Lord, and
hey, at least I stand a chance of getting some points this time.
Yep. Or
I'm Tim's.
or you get Wookiee
and we all lose. No, it's just us on the board. Never mind.
yeah, it's just you and Tabby. So, well, let's see.
Come on, Tim Lord.
Come on, Tim Lord, you got this.
Dance, dance, wherever you're me. I am the Lords of Tim, maybe. Oh, you just snuck a Tabby. You just snuck a Tabby.
That was so close.
Oh, dear. Wow. That was kind of like a photo finish there, wasn't it?
Oh, that was.
Oh, dear. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Right, we're on to the last act. On to the last act of the night. Act 5. So we're back in Garvin's house. Skaran and the villagers are looking for Jaden as Tiller finishes returning the metal fragments to the container. Garvin tells them that he isn't here, but he wouldn't hurt them anyway. They tell him he's a monster. Though Gaia doesn't believe it. He's no monster. He's her friend. They leave, and Jaden comes out of hiding from the shadows and scares Gaia momentarily. Jaden now realizes he is not an Iceman after all. He is definitely something else. He was wearing a hood initially so as not to frighten Gaia, but upon her insistence, he removes it. Jaden doesn't have much time to find a cure before the mob returns. Sometime a little later, he's found a cure, and he gives it to Garvin, and it works. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. Deus Ex Machina, where you just, you suddenly have the cure, you know? It's
yeah.
The cure for radiation poisoning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can produce it on a planet that does not have the appropriate technology.
Exactly. What do you
grind it up a few plants,
a bunch of herbs, and these herbs will really fix those cells that have been destroyed by protons and whatnot.
It's kind of like, the mob's going to be coming back any minute. How are we going to find a cure? I'm going to have to start straight away. But don't worry, I found a cure.
And it's water soluble.
Yeah.
I found it. It was at the bottom of the drawer.
Yeah. Yeah. So he finds a cure. He's given it to Garvin. It's worked. So he gives it to Gaia. That's going to work as well. He decides to put the cure in the well, in the water well in the middle of the village, so as to reach all the villagers. He heads to the well, and as he's about to drop the cure in, the mob find him. Skaran tells him that he brought the plague upon them, and he won't let him do it any longer. As Dea empties the cure into the water, Skaran plunges a spike into his back. And that's Skaran plunging
Damn Skaran.
his rod into...
Yeah, the only person to have, I think so far, penetrated Data.
From behind with a rod. Yeah.
It was a good.
It was shocking to say the least.
It was
It blew him away. It was really, yeah.
Oh dear.
I think we deserve oh my for that too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Hang on.
Oh my.
Jaden.
See, he's shot.
Yeah. Did he bleed though, or did he bleak? That's the one I want to know. Jaden collapses to the floor, apparently dead. Sometime later, everyone is cured. Gaia is visiting Jaden's grave when two suspicious-looking people come along, Beverly and Riker, looking for their friend. They ask her if she's seen a pale-skinned man with light eyes, and she says, yes, he is here. He was my friend, Jaden. He's dead, but he saved us all from the bad metal. Gaia wants to know what his real name was, and Riker tells her it was Data. Beverly conducts a sneaky tricorder scan of the area and finds that Data is indeed 2 meters down. They decide to beam him and the fragments of the probe back to the ship. They wake him up. Though he's initially confused, he relays what happened. A surge from the probe overloaded his positronic matrix, and he couldn't remember anything after that. They tell him he saved a village and made a special friend in a little girl. Troy's like, I'm off to the bridge now to take command. Data questions if she's had a promotion, and she tells him he has. He can now call her Sir. And he does. With a yes, sir. And that is the end of the episode in Act 5 and our final question time.
Who stabs Data? A. Talor, B. Garvin, C. Gia, or D. Scorin? And this one's a bit of a thinker. Which is the only one of the regulars not to be promoted in or after this episode? So, up to the end of Picard. So, every other TNG regular gets a promotion. And I am including this episode.
Are we talking about after, like, they get a promotion sometime in?
Yeah,
later
anywhere
season?
up to the end of Picard. Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Wait, is it?
Obvious once I tell you, but it occurred to me and I thought this is a good question.
That's what I'm going. Oh yes, tired time was gone with the same.
Yeah, me and you were thinking the same thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense.
So, was there any other trivia bits that may
There
we
was.
had to
There was.
mention?
So you might have noticed, might have popped across your radar, that Picard was barely in this episode. He had one line at the end, and that was because during the time they were filming this episode, he was doing a production of A Christmas Carol, and he did not want to, or not a matter of want, but a matter of necessity. He was not going to be available for that. So they only gave him one line and showed him at the end. Also, Geordi and Worf only appear as holograms during this episode. A lot of regulars do not get a lot of, are not actually in this episode. And Beverly is only in it really a couple times at the beginning and the end.
We
and
only
Geordi-
needed Data in this episode, so that was completely fine.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Geordi isn't even fixing Data up like Beverly is. It doesn't make any sense. Like, where's the engineer? Why is he not fixing him?
That is kind of weird. To be fair, she wasn't really fixing him. I guess she did maybe do a little fixing, but she kind of just turned him on. Pushed his
Oh,
button.
that's Tavi's job.
Ooh, yeah.
Pushing his buttons.
Well, that might be some bit of continuity. Remember, she's the only one who supposedly knows where his switch is.
I thought Riker would know also. I mean, he
He did. He switched
Yeah.
him off, didn't he, in Measure of Man?
Oh yeah, he did.
and it's isn't it like on Tavi will be able to correct me on this. Isn't it on his left or right side, like on the hip? Or
I
like
think it's
right
his
above the
breast.
hip?
It's just
No, it's
breast.
in his back.
Oh, was it his back?
Yeah. It's like down near the kidneys, like it's around the back,
Oh,
isn't
okay.
it? And slightly on the right-hand side, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all the trivia I did have. I'm sorry. I was. I'll do better next time. I promise.
You've done a great job, Mr. Time Lord. You've done a great job. You've definitely fulfilled your title as Goof Lord for this episode. Yes. Yeah, so answers to the questions then, Sean.
So it was D. Scorin, and yes, it was, of course, Data. He is a lieutenant commander all the way to the end of Picard. Deanna stays commander till the end of Picard, but she's promoted in this episode. Geordi ends up a Commodore. Beverly ends up an Admiral. Riker becomes a captain. Picard becomes a captain. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone.
Admiral.
Basically, everyone else gets a promotion.
Yeah, Picard becomes an admiral. Data, of course, dies. So
he never gets his promotion. He was going to go to the Titan with Riker, or he was going to be. He's going to be the first officer of the Enterprise E after Riker left, which presumably would make him a commander. But he wasn't a commander by the end of Nemesis.
So there's a comic that takes place right before the 2009 movie that fills
Countdown.
in. Countdown. And in Countdown, they had a continuity error that they retconned later, but he was going to be the next captain of the Enterprise before it was Worf. Somehow he was alive again. They said it was B4. He was
B4. He reasserted himself and took over B4's body. Yeah,
but they changed all that. They retconned that out. But it's just interesting that all
I mean that was always the plan, not that necessarily he was going to come back, but if they wanted to bring him back, they had a way to do it that just B4 gets shocked by electricity and all of a sudden Data's back. I mean, it would be fairly easy to write it back in.
Just need to put him next to the warp core and set off a extremely dangerous piece of equipment that they have no idea how it functions, and there you go.
Yeah, it's as easy as that.
they find his emotion chip in the wreckage and they put it in B4 and he instantly comes back. I don't know. It's a dozen ways they could have done it. Easy. But they took the writing a different direction.
Wookie says he knows Countdown, but I think he's thinking of Rachel Riley.
Yeah, she's okay.
I bet say you kind of got to be British to know what I'm talking about.
I don't know who that name is. That is not a name I recognize.
She does most British sounding thing. She does number puzzles on the TV. but she likes to wear tight skirts that shows off her legs.
The most British thing.
I mean that is pretty much what she does. Yeah, she's kind of.
It's a game show where you got to select numbers and then you got to make a.
Yeah, there's word and number puzzles.
It's word.
What's the one from IT Crowd that you guys have where
That's the one. That's Countdown. Yeah.
That is Countdown. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it on the IT Crowd? Is it a Countdown? Yeah.
Yeah, there's an episode where they Moss plays that Countdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. Yeah.
They go to the Milk Bar, the underground countdown club. They have Backstreet Countdown.
That's right.
I actually know someone who was an Octo champ, personally.
Man.
Oh boy.
Yes, he has his own teapot.
Yeah. Okay, answers then, Sean. Who's on the wheel?
Who have we wheeling it? We have yourself, Tavi, Ruth, Maza, Stu. I think it's pretty much everyone. Everyone got Data, yeah.
That's everyone.
Second longest, held the same rank for 30 years. Bit like Ensign Kim.
Bit like me. Okay, I'm spinning the wheel. Do 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 do. Oh no!
Oh, it's
maximum walk.
Maximum walk.
Oh no! How can that happen twice in one episode?
But again, he managed to catch everybody all at once, so it has absolutely no bearing on the results either way.
It's happened at the opportune moments, I have to say. But I think that's probably the most points Wookiee's stolen from us all ever. So well done, Wookiee, you point stealer.
If we counted Wook's points that he steals as a positive score for himself, he'd probably be winning.
He probably would. He'd probably do quite well, wouldn't he? Oops.
Tallying up stuff, and I have the results for the dad jokes.
Oh.
And I'm going to give a rundown of the ones that were put in, and if I missed one, please let me know. For Mr. Tabby-Kids, he has, I went to a psychic the other day. When I knocked on the door, she yelled, "Who is it?" I left. Before the crowbar was invented, crows drank at home. And why haven't aliens visited Earth? They looked at the reviews, only 1 star.
Uh,
My wife left me for another man. All that lies ahead is a miserable, pointless, and painful life. So while he goes through that, I'll be down at the pub with my friends. Mazza, today at the bank, an old lady asked me to check her balance. So I pushed her over. So, Stu Plum, his is a layup to, who was it? I think it was Sean who talked about getting closer. The doctor, I needed to get closer to my inner self or something, so I used thinner toilet
bought
paper.
cheaper toilet paper, yeah.
Yeah, and then Stu had a layup dad joke, which was crappy joke.
mhm.
And as the crappy joke from Sean, in addition to what do Crusher, Worf, and Troi have in common? One's a dock, one's a wharf, one's a marina.
Shamelessly stolen, by the way, but
like
it was
that one.
I saw it and I
Yeah.
thought it was great.
From Tired Time Lord, how do trees access the internet? They log in. Additionally, what do you call a comet wrapped in
Sorry.
bacon? A meteor.
Oh, very good.
Wasn't that beautifully painful? Okay, so I am torn in between the meteor joke, the what do whatchamacallits have in common, and this lady, pushing a lady over, checking her balance. And I am torn. Are there any group suggestions who should get it? I will open this up for suggestions.
I liked the Crusher, Worf, and Troy one. Who put that one in?
Well, I can't win because so
Oh, I liked that one, but yeah, I got it. Yeah, he can.
I can start a
Okay.
poll.
Yeah, start a poll. We got 2 for Maz's.
Which are the options? Which are the options? Who?
Mazza and Time Lord. Now it's a tiebreaker between
Maz.
Mazza and Time Lord.
Time Lord.
So we got 2 for Mazza already.
Give it to Mazza. She had the delayed train. Give it as a makeup.
I put a poll up. I've never done that before. It's a whole new thing.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like this poll.
Oh, I do too. That's cool.
I've never done that. So that was fun.
We got 6 votes in. Oh,
I don't know.
I like the poll.
think
We
it's
definitely
gonna
have to do this poll again.
This is pretty cool. I like that.
It looks like Mazza wins the joke. We got 7 votes. So Mazza.
There we go. Mazza is the winner.
Oh, I should probably get that ready.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put in our. Sorry, I'll shut up. I don't know where I was going with that.
That's quite cool, isn't it? I quite like that. We're gonna have to
you
use
like
that
this,
again.
but not a lot.
I like it, but not a lot. Yeah. Okay, I'll end the poll there as Mazza won. Oh look, it puts a little summary in the chat thing. That's quite good.
I've got scores ready. I was right before I logged on. I was in Excel making a score sheet.
Wookie says, "Can we please shout out a reaction girl? Carol reacts this Saturday. She'll be watching her first Star Trek movie. It's her first encounter with the franchise, Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Yeah,
That's good. That's going to be her first interaction as Star
Wow.
Trek: The Motion Picture.
straight in the deep end. It's pretty
Yeah,
heavy.
that's.
I'm
It's a
worried all the
tough
beige
watch.
will scare her away. That's a rough watch.
Yeah, it just goes on and on for like weeks.
It's great. Don't listen to them. It's fantastic. Shut up.
That's a dangerous movie to start somebody off on, especially with that
Dun, dun,
transporter
dun,
scene.
dun, 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 dun. Da-da-da-da-dun. Yes, it's a ship. We know. Move on.
The transporter scene, Kirk just sits there and says, first he has 2 officers die, and then immediately after that he goes to McCoy and says, or they say somebody's being difficult, they don't want to transport up, and he's like, why wouldn't they want to? I can't imagine a reason why they would have a problem with using the murder machine that just chewed up 2 officers.
Just
And
turn
it's
someone
McCoy,
inside
and he's
out. It's like,
he basically
Bones
calls the
is
person
like,
to tell him to get
"I'm
up
not
on the
getting on that
transporter.
thing."
He's like, come on, McCoy, stop being weak. Oh my god. Oh, so
It's
if you did already
great.
watch it, it's posting on the 20th.
I love it. Okay, so start thinking about what you give this episode out of 10. From 0 to 10, what would you give it? And have we got all the answers and all the quizzes and all the everything added up?
Do I have all the points? Yes.
Oh, we're there, are we? I'll better get the spreadsheet up then. Right. Who's in first place then?
First place goes to Massa.
Who's on first?
510 points.
Maz.
I'm
Well done,
still-
Maz.
Yeah, I'm still in dirty mind because I almost said 10 pants, but I was thinking of Data's pants, right? Anyway, second place, very close behind him behind her with 15, less than 15 points, is Monty with 495.
That was 9 points for me, so that puts me on 125.
Third place is Stu Plum with 485.
129. Oh, that didn't work. We really got to oil your chair, Sean.
I'm probably gonna get a new chair next month. I through a long boring story, I have 2 identical chairs, and I managed to break the arm on one and the arm on the other, and they're held together with zip ties, but they broke 2 different arms. So I'm gonna combine them into one chair, and I'm gonna get a new chair that doesn't squeak. But I need to wait till payday. It's been a heavy month.
Can't you just ask
I
what's behind you?
Yeah, could do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't give me a good price. What do you recommend? What's your chair? Secret Lab or something?
Oh, I'm on a couch.
No, sorry, I was saying to Monty.
Oh.
Yeah. Non-squeaky.
You know it.
It doesn't have a bad gas cylinder that constantly goes down, and you have to keep pushing it back up again.
No.
Oh, okay.
This,
What are you talking money wise?
this is a big boys chair for big boys. It's the XL, so it's specifically for like oversized
Oh,
people.
you can get an XL. God, that's what I need. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big heavy duty one. But it was not cheap. Put it that way. Okay, who's next, Tammy?
Fourth place goes to Admiral Bryce. Ruth.
Ruth. Was that how many points is that? 10, 9, 8, 7. 1, 2, 1. And then
Next is me with 405 points.
1, 7. Next.
And after that is Tired Time Lord with 400.
Next.
Tied for last place, Smiler and Beard with 10 points each. Rotten Bad Bingo.
47. Right, and that was it. Let's give it a reshuffle to see
I can
if there
still
was
catch up.
any movement. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute. And there we go.
Talk, jibber jabber, jibber jabber.
The only change was Ruth and Maz. Maz got in front of the lovely Ruth. to claim third spot all to herself. But it's still, if you look at the top four, like, it goes from 129 down to 121. It's still super close. Super close. All to play for. And Tavikins, you're still, because of your duties as quiz master, you're lagging behind a little now. Time was catching you up. Yeah, we go. So, has everybody got their paddles ready? What do you give this episode out of 10? We've got 9 from Ruth, 8 from Maz, 8 from Stuplum. What would you give this episode? Are you going to be a D-loving Tavi, or are you going to be a doubting G-star? What are you gonna be? 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 10, 8. Yeah, I mean,
It is an 8, but it's ghostly.
it's ghostly. It's there. Look, there it is. It looks pretty cool. That was 8 from me. That was 8 from Maz. 10 from Tavi. Was it 7 from you, Sean?
7, yeah.
And with a 9, an 8, an 8, and an 8, and a 9. 9, 8, 8, 9, 8. That would still average out to be a 9 from the audience. Which puts it a very, very respectable 8.4 out of 10. Which puts it 1, 2, 3, 4th in the season so far. 4th best episode. The 4th best episode behind Parallels, Lower Decks, and the Pegasus. Which are three really good episodes as well. Tavi's like, but this one's got data in it. It should be on top. God damn it.
He should always be
Data on top. Is that what we're going with, Montalban?
Yeah,
Yes,
he should
sorry,
always
yeah.
be on top. He knows what he's doing. Just woo.
Always on top.
Data.
So,
Wouldn't
So
it be
what do we
funny
think
if
of the-
Brent Spiner was watching our stream? Like if he just was casually going along and he turns on the stream just as Tav is talking with some thirst about him.
I know, thirsty as hell. Mr. Spiner, I need a sip. A bitch is thirsty.
Yeah, well, next time he comes back to Ireland, or, well, he must do Destination Star Trek in Germany some stage. We can make a road trip.
We should all do the Star Trek.
I don't know if I can handle meeting him in person.
it would be a mess, wouldn't it? It would be very
Yeah, I
messy.
think-
I would need to record. Well, he'd do panels and things, so you could go in and do the panel, and then you get used to seeing him, and you could sort of lose your mind in the back where he wouldn't notice you, and then when you go for the photo op, you'd be like, a little bit, you got a lot of
Makeup
it out
all
of your system.
messed up, crying, having to put my clothes back on.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it, is it? It's just
How is it that I'm the Marine and I'm the most PG one in this group?
it's the influence that Tavikins has had on us over the time. We used to be such a wholesome little stream,
Yeah,
and
those Air
she's
Forces are
gradually
filth.
corrupted us. Yeah.
Those airmen or airwomen. Do they still call you airmen? I don't know.
Not to go to the Air Force base because the Marines and the Air Force, things would happen.
Yeah.
Hilarious thing. Miss Annabelle, what do you want? My dog is jumping up onto.
I think you would have at least appreciated the base I was at. My favorite story from that base, this was, after 9/11, so exercises and security drills were constantly being done, especially with our base's location and the vulnerabilities. And on a military base, you're not allowed to just carry firearms or weapons with you or anything. It has to be checked into the armory. Oh, puppy love.
Yeah.
She's just pushing her way up. Sorry, keep
Oh.
going with your story.
Yeah. So there all arms need to be checked into the firearms need to be checked into the armory, and every now and then, I don't know if they did this on Marine bases, like the barracks and everything. Every now and then they would have an inspection, and of course, a lot of people would get busted for all the stuff you're not supposed to have in your dorms. Like, did somebody have drugs? Did somebody have something? Did somebody have some sort of contraband you're not allowed to have on base? And I will never forget how freaking proud my squadron commander was, because literally all of us, we're Air Force, so we're all nerds, right? So we're all D&D players and LARPers and whatnot. The armory was overflowing with battle axes, swords, katanas, crossbows, flails. I remember like the amount of weaponry that was coming out of the dorms. Be like, look, we don't need projectile weapons, but our airmen are well armed. And it was the funniest day. I knew dorm inspections were happening when one of the airmen from another squadron, he comes up banging on my door, and I'm like, they're doing inspections. And I'm like, shit. And he's like, you need to hide my stuff. And I'm like, you're not putting any shit in my room. And he was like, take my katanas. And someone comes by with other swords and whatnot. I had 5 swords in my room. My boyfriend at the time, I've got a broadsword. Is this real? Yeah. And the thing was so heavy.
Did I tell you Operation Clean Sweep ever in any of our discussions on here?
Maybe not.
So when I was in the Marine Corps, they needed to clean the unexploded ordnance from all the ranges. So they pulled from every unit on base on Camp Lejeune. They had like 10 to 15 Lance Corporals and below, from E3s and below, from every unit. It amounted to like 200 or 300 Marines. And they had us line up, and we literally police called through the back ranges. And the second day or the first day we were out there, everyone's pissed off. And the staff sergeant in charge sits there and goes, if you guys hate it so much, why don't you bring a machete tomorrow? Well, a staff sergeant told 300 Marines they could bring in a machete. So 300 Marines went to the PX and cleared out all the machetes and whetstones. And so you've got all these kids out there, 19, 20-year-old Marines playing adventurer and sharpening our machetes. And we had one guy end up killing a snake, and throwing it at the staff sergeant, saying, "Thank you for the machete. It saved me." We did.
Did he honestly not know what he was saying?
He did not really. He was pissed off. It was hot. It was it was late in the day, and he had 300 pissed off Lance Corporals, and he didn't really consider the ramifications of saying that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it cleared out the PX. You could not find a machete in Camp Lejeune or the surrounding areas for quite some time.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, is Meza going to bed?
I thought
you make it there, Meza?
Still. Oh, home sweet home.
Nice.
She's home. Wow, that's good. I'm glad about that. Yeah. So what did we think of the episode, though, in the main? Did the A and B story work?
I love this episode. I didn't give it a 10 or a 9 because I don't think it rates that high. It's not Parallels. But it's a fantastic episode. It's really well grounded. It's got a great storyline. They focus on the characters really well. I'm going to go ahead and let Tav speak because she's biting at the chomp here, I can see.
She's angling to get in.
Yeah.
I can wait my turn.
We have another Data episode next week. It's fine.
Yeah, that is true. We do.
I do love this episode. So, but Sean needs to go next.
No, I was just going to say I'm looking forward to next week we meet Mr. Flibblesworth.
Ooh, Good night,
What's this
Steve
week's
Clown.
Mr. Flibbles is very cross. No, nobody.
Quarantine.
May have been a Red
So-
Dwarf reference. Okay.
Yeah.
I love this episode. It is data delicious. Of course, we get to see his hair all mussed up. I'm just doing that. I'm doing the superficial things right now. He looks gorgeous as freaking hell, and everybody loves a disheveled, disarmed man who's still surprisingly masculine. And I enjoyed it outside of the thirsty bit when he was challenging the woman with her level of like knowledge of science and whatnot. I appreciated that they showed a primitive civilization who was an all-out hostile against learning something new. I thought it was very realistic that she would tell the children, okay, don't listen to him right now, because that wasn't, even if it was wrong, it wasn't that point in time for him to start changing science and challenging new science without like a debate and a check and all that other stuff. And later on, when he comes in and say, I took your microscope and I made it stronger, she didn't go, oh, this is witchcraft. How did you imagine? It was just like, really? Like a proper science or educated nerd would do. Be like, you did what? Let me look at that. And I appreciated that. So I thought that was a very good depiction of a lesser advanced civilization that just wasn't freaking stupid, because they do that a lot in TV shows. And I liked it that, once again, like I know that Star Trek gets a bad rap, rightfully so, for not showing intelligent females. Oh, moopsie. But she was a very intelligent woman, and she was respectable. I really liked that they showed her with that, and she was stern, and that beats out the ignorance, because that's what you hope to see. And I would have loved to see what that civilization turned out being later. Can you imagine them joining the Federation or whatnot? And it makes me a bit annoyed when like their prime directive stops them from meeting other people, because I think it's unnatural just in our organism like self to not meet other people. Because why wouldn't you go to your neighbor's house and be like, hey, did you know where we just moved in over here? Or regardless of what their education or technology level would be. I know they say it pollutes it or whatnot, but I do think that's against what the Star Trek progenitors wanted. They wanted all these species to get together and just know each other and find their way back together, not go, we're not going to talk to you because you're too slow. That, But anyway, back to the episode. I enjoyed very much the B plot. They finally had a B plot where they created some useful character development. It was nice to see that it was with the females. I already commented on, I thought it was silly or a bit weak that she felt inadequate next to her peers. And I'm like, can you please, I almost wanted an example. Please tell us who is killing it better than you right now, Deanna. Please tell us who. What are they doing? I mean, unless they are outright ascending into a Q-hood, I'm going to say your tops. So that was great. And I did like that they had a conversation between two women that wasn't about a dude. And I did like how well they wrote Riker giving her a hint without giving her a hint. And to me, honestly, I didn't notice it because I'm used to Riker giving googly eyes, like, yeah, just randomly. If the conversation has a rise in tone, you get Riker eyes. But, it is true that he does give it, away.
I thought it was pretty good as he came in and he was just like completely Commander Savage. She was like, have you come in to give me words of encouragement? He's like, no.
No. You can crash and burn, bitch. We can't have you in the driver's seat.
No, you just not cut out for this, so I'm cancelling it. Oh, crap.
I did like that. So yeah, I thought it was nice, and I thought that they did a great character development where they showed people earning what they got, as opposed to yeah, you're just promoting this person is good, because the storytelling has to be showing us, not just going, this person is now a commander. What? Why? Please tell us more about this world. It's part of the world building. And with Deanna Troy's character being so weak, it was nice that they showed that. Was that all? Was that all? Once again, all the fabulous display of data. I have a Pinterest folder that has way too much of this in it.
It's a folder we never
By
want to
other
see.
people's standards. Yes, but that's all. That's all for me for now.
No, that's all very good points. Very good. And I think you're right. I think it is a strong episode. And I agree with you about the what was her name? I've forgotten her name. The science lady on the planet. You know, as I said, like, you know, scientific theories move forward at a pace. You know, and she's just trying her best with what she knows, and at least she's trying to apply some kind of critical thinking to her situation. Even if I can't quite get past her character from the Waltons.
When Data interjects, she does kind of just like, okay, got kids, let's just ignore the crazy person in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice. The ending, I would have to say, I wish they did the ending a little better, because it was a bit too convenient that they just showed up a few days later and he's been buried. And they made it like at the end, they made it seem like we hate this guy. And I was like, so was it acknowledged that he saved him and they murdered him out of ignorance or what?
Yeah, why'd they put a monument to him after they killed him?
Well, so I think they realised that. I
them.
think, you know, I think the little girl and the family convinced everyone that he was trying to save them all from the metals. So they realised in hindsight that, you know, he'd saved the village.
I guess I stabbed him in error. My bad, guys.
Whoopsie.
Let me tell you the more metal. I know I told
maybe
you the
it's-
metal that made you sick.
Or maybe it's just their culture, just to put a tombstone up for everybody.
But
And why
who
would they
buries
bury him
someone
next to the actual well? That's kind of weird.
That's another good point. Like, that's some very interesting choices
No,
that
no,
they're
stupid
making.
and measure him.
Like, yeah, I'm like, that's where you drink. I don't think you want a rotting
Like,
corpse there.
It was almost joined onto the well. It was so close. It was like, and he's buried 2 meters down, like literally next to the well shaft.
I wonder if they didn't bury him. They just chucked him down the well, and you know he lodged himself in.
They just appended
He's
him
stuck.
in. Yeah.
That seems more logical than them burying him right next to the well and putting up a little monument. That sign didn't say
Fell in.
Jacob,
We couldn't get him out.
and the little girl just couldn't read.
And we do know that sucker does sink, so you know, he would have gone straight
Oh, yeah.
down.
Flotation devices, though. Remember in Insurrection where he
Oh,
pops
yeah.
up? He only comes up to his waist, though, so that should tell you where the flotation devices are.
That's true. That is true. Yep. I did feel a little bit for Data and Geordie and possibly Worf at the end. You know, they didn't realise it would be so easy to be a commander. All they had to do was like do a couple of
Kill
tests over a couple of days. They could have got promoted fucking years ago. It's like Geordie's like, Jesus Christ, is that all I had to do all this time? I was sat down here in engineering. I could have been running the goddamn ship.
Oh, my.
So,
Will the song wrap around as a flotation device?
It could be. Oh my god. Go gadget.
Bruce coming in strong at the end there.
Oh no. She got her oh my in there.
oh, that just reminds me of that superhero on The Boys. You know, seen that?
Which one?
Well,
Boys. That's a very vague statement
Well,
there. Are we talking about
mean,
the
if-
guy who goes up the butt?
The Superman guy, Homelander.
Oh, Homeland.
No, I was thinking of the guy with the super dong. And the
Oh yeah, no, love sausage.
love
is his
sausage.
name.
That's it. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, love sausage. That's it.
He's a Russian superhero whose superpower is that he's Mr. Elastic, but only in his pants.
His penis. So he beats people up with his willy and stuff. It's hilarious.
And it's hilarious because in the comics, he's this big, it's a different story in the comics. They go to meet him and he's like their contact. And he, in the show, they changed it. And he's, you still see his Shiza coming out and, wrapping around people and choking them.
Yeah.
Like, is it covered in his costume, or is it just
No.
flesh?
No,
Not at all. It is raw. It is raw, and it's a giant tentacle.
It's just a giant tentacle that goes around.
And there's a guy
slapping
called
people.
Homelander, and he's basically has all the same powers as Superman, but he has the personality of Lore. He's pretty.
does.
I will check you on that because I know the psychological profile of Laura, and you can't just be matching those two up together.
Look,
He
the
is
show
a
is
good
great, but the comic is fantastic. Homelander, at one point in the comics, picks up so this family wins a car, right? And he's supposed to fly them off into the sunset and then take them to dinner. He flies them up, and then in the comic panel it says 3 hours later, and the dad sits there and goes, "Sir, can you please put us down? We don't even need the dinner. We'd really like to be on the ground now." And Homelander says, "I don't even care about this," and he just drops the car, and that's it. That's that scene.
Yeah.
Homelander, terrible person. Sorry, great
Terrible,
comic series.
Terrible person. Anyway, we sort of went sideways there. Sean, what's next week?
Sorry, my bad.
Next week is. I'll give you a clue. Hold on.
The masks.
Oh, the going
That
sideways
episode-
wasn't your fault, Time Lord. I went down the boys' route. I don't. I took us
Do the
there.
other ones.
Masks. That's it. Masks. So we've got another data episode coming up next week, haven't we? It's like a double data
Lovely.
affair.
Double D.
That is the only.
We're getting
good
hit,
thing
but
about
we're getting rammed both ends with data.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Christ. We're going to be exhausted.
Oh, sweet.
Time Lord, I guess we haven't got you next week, but Maz should be back next week. And
I'll be we're trading it out.
yeah, we're trading. We're trading in and out. So Maz back next week. Time Lord out, and but Data around forever. So yeah. Well, thank you for Chief Sean, Time Lord, and Lieutenant Tavikins Turner for joining me this evening to talk about Thine Own Self. Thank you to everyone in live chat for joining us, including who do we have here? We had Wookie, we had Ruth, we had Stuplum, we had Smiler Rainbow, and we had Mr. Tavikins. And yeah, I think that was about it. And if you're, of course, watching this back, having not watched it live, let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Feel free to like and share and subscribe and do all those YouTubey things. Put us in your socials and all that stuff. And we will see you next week for even more data. See you then. Cheers, everyone.